So this is going to be a mock counseling session for my CNL 515 class. I'll be reviewing the counseling informed consent form volunteer. As part of the counseling programs at Grand Canyon University, GCU, students are required to complete mock counseling recorded sessions. In mock counseling sessions, volunteers and students are required to use fictitious role plays and avoid real-to-life scenarios. Review of the sessions and feedback will help the students grow in their depth of counseling knowledge and skills. Directions. Volunteer, please complete this form as indicated below. Please read, make sure you understand the initials and initial each section were indicated. At the end of the form, you need to add your electronic signature and the date. Note to counseling students. Please obtain a completed form from the volunteer for each mock counseling session and submit the form as directed. I state your name.
John Denna.
Understand and agree to each of the following scenarios. I consent to video/audio recordings being made of mock counseling sessions and to these recordings being used to aid in the growth of counseling knowledge and skills. I consent to the excerpts from these recordings or descriptions of them being used by the Grand Canyon University faculty and staff for the purpose of supervision, research, and or teaching. I understand that any part of a conversation as recorded and or written down will be kept confidential. I will not disclose any information that may identify me in the mock counseling sessions recording. The information given will be fictional and I will use an alias. I understand that Zoom will be used to record counseling sessions and that Zoom meets both HIPAA and FERPA confidentiality standards. I understand that if the recording of the mock counseling session activates any suicidal ideation or other potential harmful thoughts, I will reach out to a professional in my area immediately. Neither GCU, the college, nor the counseling student will be held accountable if I harm myself. By signing below, I attest that I have read, understand, and agree to the statements above as indicated for the mock counseling recording sessions as required in the counseling programs. The checkbox next to your printed name consents that your electronic signature. So I need you to write your name here, initial these boxes if you agree, and print your name down here and the date and X mark that in X box, please. How do you spell your last name, John?
DINNIN.
Okay. JOHN? Okay.
Putting the same thing right here at the bottom.
Yes, I need you to print your name, please.
And today's date.
Is the 23rd of March, so 3/22/22. 3/23, sorry.
You're okay.
And then X apostrophes. Then at the end of this, this will be uploaded along with the link to this video and yeah. Okay, so why are you here today?
Well, I come in to tell you about me and my ex-girlfriend
Okay.
and how I fell into being a drug user. Me and my girlfriend, we just started disagreeing, and I found out she had cheated on me previously.
Okay.
So then that kicked me off into a drug using habit. And I do use recreational drugs oftenly. And after everything had happened, it just led on into just me being depressed all the time, along with being a drug user. You know, being a drug user is not the best copinism or whatever for being depressed all the time. So I am currently trying to find professional help to organize my situation and help me get back on the track to the path that I should be on.
Okay, so you said your girlfriend cheated on you.
Yes,
Okay, how long were you and her
we
together?
were together for 5 years, and I had caught on to what had happened with her and another man, and then that's where everything took a turn for the worst from what it was to what it shouldn't be.
Okay. And did you start using the recreational drugs before you all broke up, or?
Right whenever we both started fighting all the time, and she had started getting into them, and then it wrapped me up in it, and then it just added on to whatever else was going on, and through the depression and through everything that it shouldn't have been.
You said it started around the time you and her started fighting. When did you all roughly start fighting?
Well, me and her were starting to disagree on stuff about 2 months before we broke up, and then she cheated on me within those 2 months afterwards, and then I had found out.
So the first question I have for you is, are you currently homeless, or do you?
I am homeless at this moment.
Okay.
I do live on the streets. I'm currently trying to sort my situation out to better myself, but it's not working out because I stay stuck in drugs all the time.
Okay, so one good thing is that you realize that recreational drugs is what's causing a lot of your problems right now, and you are trying to better yourself, which is a really good thing. And they do have something called AA meetings, which is like, of course, like Alcohol Anonymous, but they also have one for drugs as well too. Have you thought about seeing if you could get checked into one of those meetings?
Well, I've tried, but sometimes I try to follow through with it, and then I can't because I get wrapped back into the same thing. Because you got to think that a lot of those people that have gone in there are drug users, and I do a lot of drugs with a lot of those people.
Okay, so you do drugs. What's the numbers? Okay. So if you could just elaborate, like, do you think, okay. So did the depression start when you started using the drugs, or after you all broke up?
Right whenever we broke up and I started using them more heavier, and that's whenever the depression kicked in really hard. It started making me real slow and not wanting to do anything, and missing things that I shouldn't miss.
So I'm realizing that you are telling me the real story now, which is a good thing because I don't have to keep like cracking the shell to get the real story out. So that's one good thing right now. Have you been having any thoughts of suicide?
About a month after we broke up, I did have a sign of suicidal thoughts, but that's whenever that was still part of the heavier drug usage. I was into opiates at the time as well.
Okay. But since you cut back on the drugs, have you had any more suicidal thoughts?
No,
Okay.
no, I have not.
Okay. Have you been looking around? So back to your depression. What? Trying to think here. Did the drugs worsen your depression or make it numb?
It made them numb, but they were still there.
Okay.
I still had to fight the depression, and I still do fight the depression.
Okay. So with your depression, one thing that we can do, and like of course like suicidal thoughts, because you did have suicidal thoughts. I will, after we get done with after we get done with this, we have our next counseling session. I would like to do something called a suicidal plan. And in this plan, it will discuss how, like how to, if you feel like your environment's safe, the numbers to like some helplines, people you know you can call and trust, and people you feel like you can't trust and stuff. And one of the biggest questions on there that I like to look at the most is, what is there for you to live for? So thinking about that last question, is there someone or something that, going back to when you had your suicidal thoughts, going back to those, is there someone or something that you would, that is worth living for?
Myself,
Okay.
because I have no family to care about me after I got into drugs and stuff.
Okay.
They all just let me down because I didn't have anything. I wasn't worth anything.
Okay. Have you thought about reaching back out to your family now?
Well, I have thought about it, but with the long drug usage, I don't really think it would really matter at this point because of everything that has happened and the falling out that I had with them after everything had started.
Okay. That's really sad to hear. Do you think if you told them that you were cutting back on the drugs, that they might reconsider talking to you again?
Probably not. My grandparents would probably accept me like that because I am one of their only other grandchildren. And they did help me out a lot, and I did try to help them out as much as I could whenever I wasn't doing drugs beforehand. But other than that, I don't think they would even get back into contact with me.
Okay. Have you been, because you mentioned you were homeless, have you thought about trying to find a homeless shelter?
Yes, actually, currently go to one here and there whenever I don't have anywhere to go, because if I go somewhere, I'll try and go sleep on my friend's couch because it's the cleanest place. Because normally the places that I go to aren't that clean.
Okay, does your friend use drugs?
No, he does not actually.